You are listening to the Optic Blast Broadcast, a hipster goblin media production.
Previously on Optic Blast Broadcast, the broadcast dude, Dilly P, the needle mover himself, rode solo into the epic adventure of Old Man Logan. He did toy time, he ran the entire show. So if you haven't had the opportunity, go check out the solo adventure with our man Dylan. Now, escaping the void, Old Man Lockman has returned. And once again, the dynamic duo of Dylan Poole and Old Man Lockman have fused into the Optic Blast Broadcast. And we're coming at you with a Deadpool-focused Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. So grab a chimichanga, swing those katanas, and reload your fourth wall breaking. It's time for episode 9, and episodes always kick off with comic news.
Oh, yeah. I'm super excited for the Optic Blast broadcast today, Blake, because I got some awesome stuff for you guys. Man. And like you said, we kick it off with comic news, and we're going to get into it. So every time you tune into an episode of the Optic Blast broadcast, you can expect some of the latest and greatest news from across the comic verse. And this first piece of news is something that I've been very much anticipating for quite a long time, and that is the Joker 2 movie trailer. So they released on July 23rd, they released like a full-blown trailer for the Joker 2 movie that's coming up. I believe the release date for the actual movie itself is October 4th this year. So it's coming up pretty quick. There's only a couple months away. So I absolutely loved the first movie. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. And if you've seen our little side episode that we talked about with the Deadpool and Wolverine movie coming out, I actually mentioned that I had saw the first Joker movie twice in theaters. Right. Because it was just that good. It was such a good movie. But this second one's going to be a little more focused on, we're going to see Harley Quinn come in the mix, and we're going to see her being actually portrayed by Lady Gaga, which I thought was a very interesting choice. But I've heard a lot of good things. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about her, dude. So I haven't seen that movie that she did with Bradley Cooper, but I know like everyone was raving about it whenever it originally
Star
came
is Born.
out. Yeah, A Star is Born. Yeah, like everybody was like,
good movie.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it, and I also she was in American Horror Story. I've heard a lot of good things about her in that, so I'm pretty confident she's going to kill it in this movie. I think it's going to be great. It's also very it's supposed to be like musical based, obviously with Lady Gaga being a musician, that's very fitting, and I also think it's very fitting for the Joker. So a few episodes ago, we talked about The Killing Joke, and if you've ever read that comic or even seen like the little cartoon movie, there's like a musical number in there, and I'm like, you know what? That's because I feel like some people saw or heard that there was going to be based on a musical and kind of were like very skeptical about that. But I feel like that's a very Joker thing, at least in my opinion, to be very musical based. And I think it's also fitting for this universe in particular too, because in the mind of Joker and the mind of Arthur Fleck in this original movie, like, you don't know what was real and what was fake. So obviously the musical numbers probably is just in their heads.
Yeah.
And they're probably looking like some geeked out dude on the street corner while they're sitting there dancing around, probably doing all these things. But in their mind, they're just having a good time. So I'm very excited for this movie. Like I said, it's coming out October 4th. If you haven't seen the trailer, go check it out. I mean, it's pretty much everywhere. It just dropped July 23rd. So by the time you've seen this, it's been out for probably a little bit over a week. Definitely go check it out if you have not already seen that.
Yeah, I am in the camp of the skeptical, but I do agree that if you're talking about the Joker universe from that movie, that does make sense because he does a musical number where he remember he dances down the stairs and all that. I can see them tying it into that universe. Now, if you were like, all right, we're back in the Christopher Nolan universe and now we're going to have a musical Joker, then that wouldn't make sense. But in this one, yeah, I think it does. And Lady Gaga is one of those people that's like unfairly talented. Like, she can write music, she can dance, she can sing, she can act. Like, this girl she's just full of talent. I watched The Star is Born, and her acting is really, really good, man. Like, she does a good job. So I don't think you can go wrong with Harley Quinn being Lady Gaga. It's a pretty cool choice.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree. I'm very excited to see how that how this movie turns out. So, but something else that I'm very excited for that just got announced pretty recently. So, if you didn't already know who Todd McFarlane is, he's pretty well known in the comic book world. He's president and co-founder of Image Comics. He's created a lot of characters. One of those
Spawn.
characters, yeah, exactly. That's actually who I'm talking about today.
Oh, sorry.
He created Spawn. So yeah, oh, you're good, Blake. So yeah, Spawn. They are actually rebooting this character in a movie universe. So I actually didn't really know a whole lot about Spawn as a character. The only thing that I've really seen was just the movie from like 1997 or something like that had really bad special effects because it had like a $40 million budget. But they worked with what they had, and I feel like it was a great movie, in my opinion. I think Rotten Tomatoes gave it like a 17%, but I enjoyed the movie personally. But they're actually rebooting Spawn on the big screen, and it's actually going to be produced by Blumhouse, who that's pretty well known.
That's awesome.
Movie company. So I'm very excited for that. They're currently searching for a director, so I'm assuming production hasn't really went into full effect with the movie. So I'm sure they're still writing, probably still trying to figure out what exactly they're going to be doing and what direction they're going to go. But the title of the movie is going to be King Spawn.
Heck yeah.
So just kind of be on the lookout over the next couple of years, and I'm sure there'll be things that start leaking about this new King Spawn movie. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Spawn is great. Spawn comics. I'll put my cousin Shane on here. When we were kids, the Spawn comics, like I was there when they launched the first Spawn comic, right? Like I remember when Spawn came out, it was a huge deal. Todd McFarlane was he's a huge artist. His Spider-Man runs, his Venom, he's responsible for Venom. Like he's huge in the comic book world. So when he kind of branched on his own and did Spawn, it was like wildfire. And my cousin had like the first, I don't remember the number, I want to say 20 something comics, like the first edition prints. He got them as they came out. He was a huge Spawn fan. And I don't remember the whole origin story behind like exactly what happened, but somehow his mom got rid of them. Like she either accidentally threw them away, got them in a yard sale, threw them or sold them, or like trashed them because she didn't like them. I don't remember the story. I just remember my boy had all the Spawn comics in the plastic sleeves, and then he didn't, and we were hurt us bad, man. Cool Spawn movie, I'll take it. Let's go.
Yeah, that's another thing I'm just super excited for. I love comic book movies. So, I mean, of course, whenever a comic book movie is announced, I have to talk about it. Speaking of comic book movies, probably one of the biggest comic book movies that had to ever come out, at least since Endgame, I guess, really. Actually just recently came out this past weekend. Me and Blake did an entire separate episode on that, and that is Deadpool and Wolverine. Make sure you go check out that episode. It should be up. We bought all of our merchandise. I unfortunately did not get the Wolverine popcorn bucket like I wanted, but I settled for this one. It's good enough. And me and Blake got matching cups here. But we had made a whole episode talking about all that. Make sure you go check it out if you have not already. But speaking of the MCU, I have some pretty exciting news. Something that we kind of already talked about on that episode, but I just wanted to kind of just again bring it up here on comic news because it's just that big. And that's the Russo bros directing the next two Avenger films. So if you didn't already know, they're actually, I've heard, I don't know 100% sure if this is true, but I've heard basically that they are kind of doing away with the Kang Dynasty stuff that they had they were kind of building up to in Phase 5 because of some outside things that happened. If you're interested in that, you can go kind of look it up yourself. I don't want to go into it on the show, but they're essentially doing away with the whole Kang character and that whole Kang Dynasty that they were building up. They're revamping the next Avengers movies. I think they're still planning on Secret Wars being one of those, but they're going to bring in the Russo bros to direct both of those films. And also in the MCU, they're in talks of working on I'm assuming with the success of Deadpool and Wolverine, they're now talking about, which was kind of hinted at in the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. They're talking about doing a Wolverine versus Hulk movie going in production pretty soon. So that is something else that I'm very excited for. There's a lot of big things coming up with the MCU, stuff to really get excited about, including Deadpool and Wolverine, but also future projects in general, I think, for sure.
Absolutely. So hold on. We're talking about the Russo brothers coming back to the MCU to take over the anchor characters of the Avengers once again. Woo! I mean, that's what you want, buddy. That's what you need. So I'm in. I didn't know about a Wolverine Hulk movie in the talks. That'd be awesome, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know, if you can keep Hugh Jackman around, keep him around, dude. How old is Hugh Jackman? Do you know? Is he like late 50s?
Good question. I feel like he's definitely in the 50s.
Yeah,
sure.
let me just say that I know he's got to be at least in his like probably mid to late 50s, I would say, because I was a kid when he was like in his like 20s doing the Wolverine and 30s and stuff, you know. So, and I'm old, so I would expect he's probably got a good, I don't know.
It looks like
20 years on me.
He is 55.
He's 55. Okay.
Yep.
Very good. So he looks awesome. And in this, we already did a whole episode on Deadpool. You got to go check that out. Deadpool Wolverine. There's plenty of warnings for you about spoilers. We're not going to talk about it really in this podcast because we already did one. And so like we won't talk about spoilers for it in this. But dude, let me just say this: Hugh Jackman at 55 years old looks better than I've ever looked in my life. Even when I was like I still weightlift and stuff, but like when I was like dieting and trying to be a pro wrestler and getting like as lean and as fit as I possibly could, I'd never be on Hugh Jackman level. This dude is a beast in this movie, you know. So awesome, dude. I would love to see Wolverine and Hulk mix it up. That'd be so cool. I'm excited, dude. I'm excited. I'll say that's the last thing I want to say about Deadpool Wolverine. I'm excited for the MCU again. Make the MCU great again, Russo brothers.
Yes, I very much second that opinion for sure. I'm super excited for the future of the MCU. I have faith. I have faith in the Russo brothers. I have faith in Kevin Feige, and that's all I'm going to say. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Very good.
With that being said, Blake, you know what time it is.
Toy time. All right. So if you didn't know it, we did a Last Ronin Ninja Turtles episode, and we discovered, I didn't know this, that Ninja Turtles have entered their 40th anniversary. Now, if you're doing the math like I did, I was like, that's not possible because Ninja Turtles came out when I was like, 6, 7 years old, and I'm not like 50, right? So how is this possible, right? I'm not that old. I'm Old Man Lockman, but I'm not there, Come on. But anyway, I found out that it goes back to the first comic they ever made is where they're getting this 40th anniversary from because it didn't seem to line up right, but it does. So anyway, they have done a 40 years of Ninja Turtles relaunch of all the old action figures, like a big line of the old action figures. I happened to be at Walmart one day and I always cruise the toy aisle because I'm looking for stuff for Optic Blast Broadcast. That's my excuse. But anyway, I cruise the toy aisle and I'm looking and I see my favorite not turtle other than Casey Jones, my favorite not turtle action figure, original boxing, original figure, original design. The back of the box is the same. I see my man, Mondo Gecko, hanging up. This was my favorite figure other than the turtles. And Casey Jones, this was my favorite figure as a kid. I love skateboarding. I still skateboard at 41 years old. I'm still out there shredding. I don't do all the crazy tricks anymore. I just cruise, but my knees, don't want to hurt anyway, but I don't have the healing factor like Hugh Jackman does. Okay. So, this was Mondo Gecko. He's like an 80s themed skateboarder kid. Lizard. He's a gecko. One of my favorite figures of all time. The boxing is original, like from back then. It looks exactly like the one I had as a kid. I love the back of this box. It's a throwback. It's an exact reprint. It's a replica. They have the little logo. Where is it? It's right here. To do the 40th anniversary of the Turtles logo. You see, he's got a skateboard. His knee pad is a skull. It looks like he's got some Jordans on or something, dude. He's got a skateboard on his tail. The back of it here, I love these little cards. They come, I collected all those in a drawer when I was a kid, and it gives you the origin story behind every character. He was a loner, a lizard, escape master. He mutated from a headbanging thrash metal teenage guitarist, Mondo Gecko. He turned into a lizard. So headbanging thrash metal skater. You can see why he's my favorite non-turtle character out of the old crew. But yeah, the old lineup and everything. Anyway, I think it was like $9.99 or something. Perfect. Awesome. So definitely, if you're an old school turtle fans like us and you want to go find them, you can find them. I will say this, these designs are far superior. This Mondo Gecko absolutely crushes the new Mondo Gecko design-wise. I like the new Mondo Gecko in the new movie, but this design is so much better. I mean, this dude don't play around. He's got a freaking skull for a knee pad. He's a beast. Anyway, Mondo Gecko, old school turtles. Check it out. It's very, very cool. That's the toy time for the action figure, but there's a little something more. A game has launched since we're talking about turtles. This game is called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate. I looked at it on Nintendo Switch. I think it's probably on all of them. It's $29.99 right now on the Nintendo Switch. It is multiplayers. You have up to 4 people co-op. It's a lot like the game Hades. If you ever played Hades, it's a really fun, almost like a dungeon crawler-ish type RPG style game. And this game borrows a lot from Hades. I don't know, Dylan, if you could pull a clip up of the game, but we'll try to get something going for us here. But it's like a 4-player co-op Hades style. It kind of reminds me of like those old X-Men Legends games, or maybe like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, if you like that sort of stuff. It kind of reminds me of all of that. You're leveling up your characters. You're going through different dungeons of like the sewers, and you're fighting classic turtle enemies. You're going through. It's a very cool game. I would definitely recommend it to anybody who likes the Hades style. It's not like if you hold Hades up at like a high level, it's like, I'll be honest, it's not a direct clone of Hades, but like they definitely borrow some really cool elements from it. It's kind of probably, I would say, like easier to access. Oh, there we go. Sweet. It's definitely like easier to access than Hades is. But the artwork's cool. The storyline's cool. A roguelike adventure. That's a good way to say it. Like, look at this, dude. Crit hits. Bam. The different like upgrades to your weapons that you get. You're fighting classic villains. It's just a really cool, if you like this style of game and you're a Turtles fan, don't sleep on this. It's really cool. To me, this game came out of nowhere. I had no idea. I'd never heard of it. And all of a sudden it just showed up on the marketplace one day. And I was like, what is this thing? Apparently it was a mobile game. Like it came straight to mobile first. And then they developed it again for like video for consoles. I'm assuming it's on all consoles. I just happened to see it on Switch. And that's what we have the most controllers for at my house. So if we want to do 4-player co-op, I got it on Switch to do it. And plus I like the handheld, and it's not that graphically demanding. So like, but yeah, look at this, dude. Like this reminds me of Marvel Ultimate Alliance, just watching this right here, you know?
Yep.
But it's the Turtles. So anyway, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Splintered Fate. Highly recommend. If you're into that, you're going to love it. You're going to have a good time with it, and it's going to be a blast. It also encourages a lot of replay value. You want to level up your turtle, get more moves, and then run through it again. It's that fun. It's that quick. So yeah, check it out. If anybody has it out there and you want to play together, you need a really strong Leonardo to jump in your party, hit me up. I am Lockman on Switch. That's also on there. And hit me up on Instagram or one of these handles. Shoot me a message. I'll jump in and play with you. And that's Toy Time. $29.99 right now. All right, out of Toy Time, into break time. Come back. We'll be right with you. We're going to do Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. All right, we are back. And now it's time. With Deadpool Wolverine coming out, we did some Wolverine-centric episodes, and now we're moving into some Deadpool stuff. And we actually, our friends over at Nerdy Reads are also doing a little Deadpool action as well. They're doing the Deadpool versus Wolverine 5-issue series. We're doing the Deadpool. Hey man, I pity the Deadpool. The Deadpool unalives the Marvel universe. On our social media, that's what I put it as, because I was like, I think if I put the word kills, I think we'll get banned or something. I don't know. They don't like that word on social media.
That's probably a better way to describe it anyway.
It's the Marvel universe. All right, so here's how Deadpool. This story is silly. All right, let me just read the synopsis. This is from Marvel.com. It says, Deadpool unalives the Marvel universe is a horror comic. Did you know this is a horror comic?
I did not know that until I actually read the synopsis for it. So.
It's a horror comic by Cullen Bunn and Dalibor Talajic. I probably butchered that. Sorry, guys. I'm just an Indiana boy. The Georgia. Anyway, that follows Deadpool as he discovers that he and the Marvel Universe are comic book characters. And he sets out to end the suffering at the hands of the writers. Those writers are making them suffer, so he's just going to kill everything. Unalive everything. The story begins with Latu, the Watcher, narrating how Marvel is destined to meet its end. And then Deadpool goes on a killing spree. So that's kind of a general synopsis of this. It's only like what was it? 4 issues, Dylan?
Yeah, 4 issues.
We did 4 issues. It's a quick story. You know what, Dylan? Let's just bring it up, dude. Let's just kind of check this out together, and we'll talk about it.
I actually have with me I'm just going to be kind of scrolling through each one of the pages as we're kind of talking about it. And so obviously it opens up kind of like you were saying in the synopsis with like the Watcher. So the Watcher is something that I don't actually really know much about, but I have heard about that. So I haven't actually read, I don't think I've read anything where the Watcher has been involved until now. So I think opening with seeing the Watcher there, I think was very interesting to me. And we kind of got it, kind of showing you guys here. Just kind of opening up with that was really cool seeing him. And then of course we go into like the destruction of, we just see the entire Fantastic Four just get completely slaughtered pretty much, or unalived. Sorry. Family friendly. And so like, I think that really just took me by surprise. Like we were just getting, it was very, I feel like it was almost like a classic Deadpool thing where you just, it's just straight into the action. And then it's like, bet you're wondering how I got here. I think we talked a little bit about that on the other episode. And so it's very Deadpool where, you know, it's in the middle of all the action happening. And then you kind of get the backstory after that. And so once you kind of get that part, he actually ends up, or I guess it's a little bit later, but it kind of shows how he got to where he was. And we see him with, what is it? Dr. Brighton or Brid?
Yeah. What is that? It like basically makes Deadpool go crazy.
Yeah. Like, and it ends up, I'm pretty sure I don't know if I quite understood the panels on that page, but it seemed like he was actually Psycho Man the whole time.
Yeah, he's Psycho Man.
The doctor was okay. That's what I was pretty sure I was reading that right, but I was a little confused. I'm not gonna lie. So
no, that's what I got out of it too. One thing I want to note is like, I'll pull mine up here too. So we are always plugging Marvel Unlimited because it's such a cool. Honestly, like every episode of Optic Blast, I promise we're not sponsored by them. If they want to sponsor us, hey, here we are. But look at this. Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. It has a parental advisory. It's always backwards. There's a parental advisory on the front of every issue because they're pretty gory. It's Deadpool, so that's what happens. Deadpool unalives the Marvel Universe. But one thing I will say I really, really liked about the layout of this one is that as you read it, you can just do this and scroll down. And that's how you read it. I haven't had any comics do that on this app yet. All my comics have to flip the pages and you can zoom in on the pictures, but this one's already zoomed in and it's just perfect for scrolling and reading. They need to get that format on every comic if they haven't, maybe they did, and I just haven't read anything in a minute. But even when we did like the last thing we just did, Old Man Logan, which I know you did the episode on that, but I read it too. I just had to flip pages, but this is cool. Do this, Marvel Unlimited. Whoever laid that out, great job. But yeah, so what'd you think, man? What'd you think about the storyline? He's going through, he has to unalive everyone. So think of a Marvel character. Who would win in a fight? Deadpool versus whoever. And in this run, he's going to unalive them. And how will he do that? Right?
Yeah. I definitely. I just think it was really cool seeing like all the cameos, and then like obviously going straight into I think the second issue, just opening up with him and Spider-Man fighting, which I thought that was really cool because Spider-Man's like Merc with a mouth, like that was actually me. You like basically stole my idea with like I guess like his like little quips that he normally does with Spider-Man. He's like, oh, you stole that from me. And so I thought that was pretty interesting, like encounter between Deadpool and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then of course, like, oh, Deadpool comes in and spoiler alert, if you couldn't tell by the name of the title of the comic, he ends up unaliving Spider-Man. Cause he's like, I got one thing I'm going to try one thing that your villains haven't ever, or something. I don't remember how he words it, but he's like, he basically shoots him in the head.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Like, maybe we should probably put like a warning before, on the recording of this. It's like, hey, parents, because Optic Blast Broadcast, we are family friendly. We try our best to be that. I didn't think of that when we picked Deadpool unaliving the universe. Yeah. We are talking about, that's what he does. It's just like a spin-off story, but so he does. He unalives them. So we'll probably put something in the beginning just to say, hey, warning. But definitely need to put a warning in there for sure. Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, I think that's the thing is he goes through and it's like, how does he defeat every Marvel hero that we know? Okay, as a comic book fan, I'll be honest, I don't like this series for the fact that it is so blown out of proportion how Deadpool could actually pull this off. Like, there is no way Thor is ever taken an L to Deadpool. I don't think there's ever a way that Spider-Man takes an L to Deadpool. Like, I love Deadpool. He's a cool character, but let me just say, come on, bro. Are you serious? So the writers had to be creative with how could that even happen? So they wrote these like real kind of crazy scenarios, and they did come up with ways for him to do it. Like how he takes Thor out, right? Like he uses the Pym particles and he makes Mjolnir so big like crushes him. Yeah.
That was, even he was also being like kind of smart with I think it was he creates some sort of I'm trying to think of a family friendly way to say it. Device that explosive device that ends up decimating quite a few characters.
He takes out the entire Avengers by shrinking down explosive devices and hiding it in their coffee, and they're all just having a meeting and they're drinking coffee and hanging out, and then he's like, oh, by the way, boom, and just blows the whole place up. And like even Luke Cage is done out by this. I mean, he like wipes the whole universe with all these like creative ways that he does it. I thought that was kind of like a wild one. And like I said, as a comic book fan, I'm not really a fan of this. Like if I can view it as a silly little horror comic, I'm okay. If you try to tell me in the actual pure canon, Deadpool can wipe the universe, you're out of your mind. There's no way, dude. But if you're gonna write a little horror comic, okay, yeah. So that's where I'm at with it as far as that goes. They had to get creative, and let me say that they do get creative. It is kind of like I appreciate that aspect of it. The writers were like, all right, how can we get him to pull this off? Right.
I went into it reading it as like just a goofy kind of one-off comic series. Like it wasn't. I wasn't like, oh man, there's no way this couldn't happen, or there's no way that couldn't happen, or like, I was just kind of reading it just as something that was fun. That was, well, I say fun, but I mean, it really, it's entertaining for sure.
Well, that's Deadpool. Like that's the thing is like Deadpool is extremely violent. He's extremely gory. It's rated R. I mean, just like the movie, Deadpool comics are when you pick up a Deadpool issue, it's going to be rated R. It's going to be violent. It's going to be gory. But it's all in like a silly, goofy manner, right? So that's why it's just the way it is, But yeah, I agree. you go into it knowing that you're going to be okay.
Yeah, for sure. And then he also ends up having an encounter with Hulk, which I thought was really cool because, again, trying to be a little more on the family-friendly side, Hulk smashed him.
Yeah.
And he ends up growing back and then catches him as he turns back into Bruce Banner while he's sleeping.
Yeah, that's the only way you're going to do it. You're not going to be able to take him out as Hulk,
Yeah.
So you don't got the damage output, son. You can't do that.
Yeah, that was definitely a creative way for him to win against the Hulk for sure. So kind of going back to all like having creative ways for him to do the business that he's trying to do. So yeah.
Yeah. I did think it was like him mixing it up with the X-Men. I think that was maybe episode. Dude, he just like, he's not just going after the heroes either. I mean, he's taking everybody out. And like his motive for it is kind of weird. I mean, it's funny, but it's like, hey, you're all trapped in a comic book by these comic book writers. So I'm going to end everyone's misery right now,
Yeah.
And, but even, everybody, and then they hire a Taskmaster.
Taskmaster. So I was going to say, I thought it was really interesting. So I'm kind of going back to when it comes to like that scene in Spider-Man 2, whenever Peter finally tells Aunt May, like, hey, I could have actually stopped the guy that unalived Uncle Ben. Mm-hmm. And she's like, and she like gets upset. But then when they kind of talk about it, she's like, Uncle Ben would have forgiven him. Like he just wanted, he would have been kind. He would have forgiven him. He wouldn't have faulted him or whatever. But then we see and hear she's actually the one that's like getting everybody together to hire Taskmaster for unaliving Peter. And I'm like, I feel like that's just such an interesting switch up of her character, at least for me. I feel like that's not something that Aunt May would have done, but I mean, I guess for her little Peter,
should have done that, dude. Toasty.
You should have toasty.
No, bro, we just commit and we just keep going forward.
I didn't even think about that before it came out. Anyway,
So the survivors of the heroes that have been unalived by Deadpool hire Taskmaster to take him out. Let's put him to task. And I thought that was kind of a cool thing to do. Him just totally decimating the X-Men and Arcade and all that. Like Magneto, he like puts him in like jelly acid or something. Yeah. And Kitty Pryde, he couldn't really kill her because she can phase. So he like trapped her in a cube or something that she couldn't phase through. Like, they were creative with it. Again, I just like, I can't swallow the pill that Deadpool could do these things, but I have to take it for what it is. Wolverine, I felt bad for Wolverine's son, Draken, in X-23. He like has them on some sort of timer that's just constantly destroying their regenerative healing power. As soon as they start healing back, they just get again, like dang, bro, Deadpool, you wild for that. And then him and Wolverine going at it, which again was like, no way, there's no way he's taking Wolverine out like that. But Doctor Strange, he freaking wrecks Doctor Strange. It's like, you're talking about like one of the most powerful Marvel characters, and you unalive him with a sigh or whatever. I can't remember what he got him with, but you don't even see that fight. You just see Taskmaster like walk in and like, well, Deadpool was here,
So I don't know if I can show any of the scenes on there. I was gonna show the part where Doctor Strange is, but I probably can't. But
yeah, I didn't think about that when we we're like, yeah, that's a funny story. Let's check that out. Oh yeah, wait a minute. I did like the part where Punisher is taking people out too.
Mm-hmm.
Like Punisher's just Kingpin. I mean, he's just taking them out, and then that's like Deadpool comes for him. I did like the play on Deadpool being like kind of like death itself. There's like a picture where it's like death, like the Grim Reaper, but he's in a Deadpool costume. Or, I mean, it is Deadpool, but he looks like the Grim Reaper. Like, okay, I kind of see that, It's just kind of a dark comic, but it's a horror comic. So it's intended to be dark and also like silly at the same time.
Yeah. Also, like, I mean, at the beginning of the 4th issue, I mean, we see, because Deadpool is going on this rampage, like, it literally brings a lot of the villains and heroes to the point where they don't even want to face Deadpool. They're like, we just kind of want to get this over with. Like, we don't want to be, have to face the, I guess, wrath of Deadpool. Like, we're just going to kind of end it ourselves here. And so, like, that to me was like, I was like, oh man, like, because you even seen Kingpin up there, standing on the on this building, as people are kind of taking that leap, and trying to they don't want to, like I said, they don't want to have Deadpool come for him. So they're like, all right, we're just going to get it over with. So I thought that was crazy to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, one thing about Deadpool that's funny is like, he always breaks the fourth wall. And in this one, he's like, hey, whatever team's working on the comic book, it's a masterpiece, and then like he shows up like coming for looking into the writers,
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like that's even funny. And I like how he like turns back to us, the audience, and he's like, here, I'll pull that up real quick. Hey, like, I see you out there watching, like, and there's the writers like writing it. And he's like, hey, I see you out there watching. Don't worry. I'll be done with these jokers in this universe before you know it. And I'll find you soon enough. It's like, that's kind of scary. Like, Deadpool's on a unaliving spree and he's taking out everybody and he can see through the fourth wall. Did you ever watch the animated series that they did on Disney Plus called What If?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about it. I never actually sat down and watched them.
So I never saw season 1. I haven't watched it yet, but season 2, but season 1, they kind of do that. Like, what happens is Ultron ends up getting like all the Infinity Stones or something like that. And like, it's like a what if Ultron and Vision actually got, like, how remember he was trying to get like the Vision's body. Yeah. What if he did that and he got the Infinity Stones? He could like see through realities. And like the Watcher is like talking about it, and all of a sudden he busts into the Watcher's realm and attacks the Watcher, which is like very reminiscent of what happens in this Deadpool thing. So I thought, like, I figured like when they wrote that show, they probably pulled some inspiration from this, Well, all of this being said, I've been pretty harsh on saying like Deadpool couldn't really pull this stuff off in the real canon. This comic is considered non-canon. It's not considered like an actual, this didn't really happen in the comic book universe. It's like a what if story. It's a spinoff. But when you say the word canon, you lead into a segment that we like to call Proton Cannon. So the Proton Cannon this week is, what exactly is Deadpool's power set? Is Deadpool unaliving the Marvel Universe canon? Well, I already answered that. No, that's actually not canon. It's just like a spin-off story, a horror story on the side. But what's his power set? Like, what is his limits? Like, what can Deadpool do? What can he not do, right? Deadpool's main superpower is an advanced healing factor. We've talked about, like, where is Wolverine's healing factor? Deadpool's, like, if this is Wolverine, like, Deadpool's healing factor is a little bit better than Wolverine's. And like, if Wolverine gets his head cut off, I haven't seen yet that his head grows a new body, but Deadpool's would. Deadpool can survive pretty much anything. Like I said, he'll regrow a new body. If his head gets cut off, he almost heals instantly, where like Wolverine gets like a big slash on him and like you'll kind of slowly see it start to heal up. Deadpool's is like, before the slash is down here, it's already healing up here. I mean, he's like super advanced healing factor. So he's almost like invincible in that sense, as far as like he heals a lot. He has like what I would call, he doesn't have super strength. He's not like super strong. I mean, he's probably what they always say, like peak human condition or something, like he's strong in that sense, but he's not like superhuman strength. But he is superhuman agile. he has an agility of what we would call like a superhuman agility, and that comes from when he was in Weapon X. And they like kind of got those powers of that as a soldier. He's kind of like a super soldier, kind of like Captain America, but not quite as strong as Captain America is. But he can run super fast. He can jump really high. You know, you see him flipping around the battlefield, doing spins and all this crazy stuff. So I would say it's like a super agility, like an acrobat level through the roof. Probably not Spidey ability, because Spider-Man is also super strong. So Spider-Man can jump like half a building. Deadpool can't do something like that. But he's quick and he can spin. He's ultimate gymnast basically style. Another thing I would say is, like, I don't know if it's a superpower, if it comes from Weapon X, or it's just who he is. You know, he's the Merc with a mouth. So he's a great mercenary. And in coming with that, weapons expert. So guns, I mean, any kind of like artillery or weaponry, he knows it and he's good at it. And he's not just good at it, he's like extremely excellent at it. His accuracy when he shoots, you know, I mean, he's good. He's really good at that. He's a weapons expert. He's a master swordsman. He deals 2 katana blades at once, which is a really difficult thing to do. Most swordsmen only use 1. He can rock 2. A throwback to the Deadpool Wolverine episode. If you check that out, I actually go into detail a little bit about how he's a master swordsman and how he can do these things he's doing. So go check that out. But yeah, definitely. He's able to fight with 2 blades. His healing factor, he's kind of crazy. Like, his brain is like so scattered and wild that like telepaths have a hard time with Deadpool. Like, if Jean Grey fights someone with a sound mind, she can just like shut them down. Like, okay, you're asleep now. Boom, they'll drop them. She can't do that to Deadpool. His mind is too scattered. Like, they telepaths have a really hard time with Deadpool. So I count that as a superpower, because it's kind of like he has this like mental shield against like telepathic attacks. And it's just because his mind is nuts. Like, it's crazy. That, to me, that's a superpower. And then because he's crazy, he can break the 4th wall. I also think that's a superpower, because he realizes he's a comic book character, and he realizes that we're reading and we're watching. And while he lives his life in the comic books, he'll always turn to us and like say something. And in the movies, he does that. You know, when he's breaking that 4th wall in the comics, if you like, I love when they show a panel. It'll be him talking to us. Like, so he's talking to, hey, reader, this is what's going on. Oh, so-and-so is crazy over here. And he'll say some funny quip or a joke. And then the next panel is all of them looking at Deadpool. And he's just like staring at a wall, talking to a wall. And they're like, what is wrong with him? Like, he's crazy, you know, because in their world, they don't know he's breaking the 4th wall. You know, he's just this crazy assassin guy. So I would say that that's kind of the limits of his powers, or that's a good proton cannon wrap up of Deadpool's power, hand-to-hand combat, all that, healing factor. Yeah.
I do think so. One thing that I know that's actually pretty cool, kind of segueing off, or not really segueing, but like kind of adding to what you were talking about with this healing factor. So the way that his healing factor actually works is a lot different than Wolverine's. So Wolverine is constantly healing and creating healthy cells. Whenever he has some sort of injury, it regenerates healthy cells. Mm-hmm. With Deadpool, though, is actually the complete opposite. So because he was actually diagnosed with cancer, and his mutation had mutated with his cancer cells. And so the way his healing factor works is he's constantly regenerating dead cells, but his cells are actually constantly in a perpetual state of dying as well because of the cancer. And so like he's basically dying all the time, but he's always regenerating dead cells.
Yeah, hence the name, right? Deadpool. Yeah, no, that's a really good thing to bring up, man. That's absolutely. And another thing that fans, I don't know if it's proton cannon or not, but Wolverine's body is not operating at full potential for healing factor because he has adamantium in his body. His body is constantly having to not die from adamantium poisoning, which they went into that on the Logan movie, actually. But his healing factor is like, let's say its healing factor is 100%, and this is the potential for what his healing factor could do. Since he has an adamantium skeleton, and it's constantly having to battle that adamantium in his body and keep him alive through it. It's at like 50% or something. I don't know. But we noticed Wolverine in when he lost his adamantium in the comics, his healing factor went through the roof, and it changed him. Like he became more savage and more, because it's like his healing factor was so overloading his body. So pretty cool stuff there when you talk about those two mixing it up and their healing factors mixed in. So all in all, I mean, I can't say I'm a fan of this one, other than I can say it was entertaining to see how they come up with what if scenarios on how to take out the team. But I'm more of a traditionalist, and I'll be like, yeah, right, that's not going to happen. But I mean, there is a comic where he does do it. So in some random corner of the Marvel universe, that could happen, right?
Yeah. I mean, for me, if I just kind of I went into it as just something that was fun to read, and it was Deadpool, it was goofy, it was gory, it was everything you would expect from a Deadpool comic, in my opinion. So I enjoyed it. I found it very entertaining. I think you should read it if you haven't already read this one. For sure, definitely go check it out. I really enjoyed, sitting down and giving it a read and just having a good time with it.
Yeah, awesome, dude. Awesome. All right, so there we are. Deadpool Unalives the Marvel Universe. There's our recommendations for that. I hope you had fun with that episode. Hey, you want to come back next time? If you haven't had a chance, check out, if you've already seen, hopefully by now you've seen Deadpool Wolverine, go check out our instant takes. We came out of the theater, we got up on Saturday morning, the next morning, and we came right in and just started talking about it. And it's a live, uncut, uncensored talk about Deadpool Wolverine. And if we want you to jump in those comments and start talking to us. What were your favorite scenes? What were your favorite parts? It's got a big warning spoilers thing on it, so people won't get mad at us. They've had plenty of chances to not watch it if they don't want to. We want to hear from you, right? Get us on Discord. We want to talk about this. This is what comic book fans do. We talk about comic book movies together. So we want to hear about it. It's the best one in the MCU since Endgame, if you ask me, and it's definitely worth talking about. So go check that out and join us back next time. We're finally doing it. Episode 10, the most iconic, biggest superhero that kicked off the comic book world. We're going to go there. The last son of Krypton with Superman. Oh yeah, all-star Superman, buddy. We're gonna go there, and that's gonna be our episode. The red cape and the blue tights and the red cape has never been seen on this show before. We don't really talk about him. We're bringing him in. It's time to go there. So get your kryptonite ready, and we're gonna take this dude down. Batman for life. Wait, no, just kidding. It's going to be an awesome episode. We're going to have a lot of fun. We can't wait to have you back. Thanks for tuning in to the Optic Blast Broadcast. Let's go get some chimichangas, Dylan.
That sounds like a great plan.